Hey there, this is day 15 of the 21-day bestselling author platform. We're going to talk about casting a wider net. So as an example or a metaphor, book marketing is a little bit like fishing, but you don't want to be out there fly fishing where you're, casting out your line manually to try to get one fish. Something better would be casting out something on a bobber with a hook where you could sit there and read a book or focus on other tasks. And then, a fish would help themselves to the bait and the bobber would let you know when you've got something on the line. But we're talking about casting a wider net, which means you're basically building a net so that when people search for things on the internet, you are easy to find. Maybe your blog or your website is like your home base. Maybe they're on Amazon or Goodreads or BookBub looking for books, but you want to have your best content in as many places as possible. So I mentioned some places like Reddit or Goodreads or Library Thing or Shelfari. Some of those are kind of older or outdated. So in the course, I've added a new list of places. And maybe it's just, setting up a platform and adding a few blog posts or a few pieces of content so that you have some backlinks to your content. There's kind of two things going on. On the one hand, people could find your content and interact with it manually. You'll have your call to action, hopefully at the end of your content, and then they'll come over to your blog or your Amazon page to get the book. But you could also be doing it just to strengthen your home base. I talked earlier about backlinks and how they're pretty important. So by putting out a lot of content on a lot of different platforms, even if you're just getting links back to your main blog post so that your blog or your website ranks higher in Google, the difference between being number 20 on Google or being number 5 on Google can be all of the traffic. Number 20 is not going to get any traffic. Number 5 will get some. So pushing your rank up a little bit can really help. And I'm not really going to get into SEO and ranking and stuff, but both on Google and Amazon, part of it is just showing up and it's the visibility, but then also it's about the engagement. How long do they spend on the page? Do they take action and buy the thing or not? Are they satisfied with the time they've spent engaging with your content? All of that signals to the search engines to keep showing your content as opposed to other people's content. So there are a lot of sites where you can put up your book. Some of them we've talked about earlier in terms of getting book reviews like InstaFreebie or Prolific Works, Reads Discovery, BookBub, BookFunnel, Story Origin, Booksprout. I think we mentioned all those earlier as places to put your books up to get book reviews, and that's still a good idea. But any site like that where you can create a platform and link back to yourself where some people can discover you, that's not a terrible idea. I found a couple this week because I was trying to get more backlinks. So I found some, I was looking for high domain authority sites where you can post a backlink. I talked about this earlier with guest posting as well. And I found some where, maybe it's free to set up, but you have to pay a membership fee of $5 or $20, to get access to all the features where you can actually build blog post contents or add your books and link back. So for me, it was worth joining so I could build some of that content and create backlinks to my main domain because I'm trying to get my stuff to rank a little higher in Google. Some of those sometimes can be a good idea, even if those sites aren't really getting any traffic and nobody's really seeing that content. I'm just using it to signal boost my own stuff. You do want to be careful about, you want it to be on relevant sites for the most part. I kind of talk about publishing and marketing, so things that are just book related or publishing related are fine for me. But for like my young adult fantasy stuff, I don't want to put it on some general publishing site. I want to put it on young adult fantasy blogs and websites. So you need to be careful about, finding the best platforms that are actually visited by your target audience. There are some sites that basically just have promotion for authors, which I do not think are a good idea. One of the big ones that I've been kind of jealous of for a while, they do a book cover contest. And the reason I don't like it is because I don't think book cover contests are really a great idea for authors, because I see a lot of authors say, go vote for my book so that they get their book voted up higher and then they win this, book cover art award, but it's popularity contest. It doesn't really mean that your book is well designed, and you're not driving any real readers to that platform. You're just asking a bunch of author friends to go vote. If I'm going to ask my author friends for something, I want it to be more impactful than vote for my book cover, because I don't think that actually does anything in terms of actual sales to your market. It's still clever of this particular platform, because what they're doing basically is they host a book cover contest, and then they get all of the authors to promote their platform, because they're getting people to vote for their books. So they get all this traffic of authors and author friends, and then they say, we'll feature your book on our website for however much money. Most of the time that's not going to work, because the people who visit those websites are just authors or self-publishers who want book marketing. So it's brilliant strategy for them, but it's not effective for authors, which is why I think you should be careful about any kind of a site where they say, we'll feature you on our website, or even like we'll blast you out to 1 million people on our Twitter followers. Most of those people who follow accounts like that are going to be other authors who are interested in book promotion. It's not really going to work for you in terms of real book sales, because you're not reaching your actual audience. Anyway, so when we talk about casting a wider net, it's mostly finding, what are the other platforms where my readership, my potential fan base who like reading books in my categories, where are they hanging out? Where's the discussion? You want to be sensitive about that, because like Goodreads or Reddit, they have reader groups that are not really interested in the author showing up and being part of the discussion. It gets a little bit weird when they want to have like a real discussion about a book, and then the author pokes their head in, and it's a weird thing. So you want to be sensitive that they may not want you there, even if they're talking about your books. And you want to show up and be a person who, we call it native content with social media, but like if you're on Reddit or Twitter or Facebook or whatever, they all have their own framework for how discussions are organized. You want to make sure you know the rules and that you interact as someone who also appreciates that type of literature, and you have something to add to the discussion, not just, interjecting your own book for book promotion whenever it is feasible, because that seems untrustworthy. I can't think of a better word. But even like on Reddit, they hate when people promote themselves. So you got to be careful about not being promotional, but actually engaging in the discussion in a way that adds value to everyone else in that group. I think that's all I've got to say about casting a wider net. Obviously, it's a lot more complicated, and there's a lot of research you can do to find the places where you can put up content. One more example I'll give here, I guess. I'm making a book to go along with this course. This is a 21-day author platform. I'm making these short YouTube videos to kind of just quickly summarize the topics, but I'm turning these YouTube videos into a book by basically pulling the text from the video and then editing it all together and turning it into a book. I have a bunch of books that are perma-free that I kind of give out, but what I haven't done yet is put them out on more platforms. So for example, on SlideShare, where you could upload a PDF or a PowerPoint, I could turn my nonfiction books, I could upload the PDF directly. I could put them on Scribd or other platforms that host, free books. But I could also turn them into a PowerPoint presentation that I could upload. If I've got active links on, that content on those books and those PDFs, I could put them out in more places. I don't think I talked about Pinterest yet, and maybe I'll get into it later, but I could also, each of those slides from the presentation, I could turn into an infographic that might give me like 21 infographics for the 21-day plan, basically, which is something I should do. I could boil all of these chapters into like a checklist and make an infographic about it. And then in each of the books, like it's one big book, it might be like 21 infographics, one PowerPoint, 21 videos for YouTube or whatever, which we're going to talk about repurposing content in the next video. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. But the idea is I can build different parts of my content that fit on different platforms and then put them out everywhere, and then make sure I link back to something relevant on my home content on my website. So not only am I building a lot of backlinks for my content, but also there's a lot more of an opportunity for people to find my content because I'm breaking it down into bite-sized chunks. So maybe they will never find, the 21-day best-selling author platform. That's too broad in general. But social media marketing for authors, something really specific, something very specific that maybe I can't rank for it on my blog because my blog isn't powerful enough or doesn't have enough domain authority yet. But if I put up a cheat sheet or a checklist on SlideShare or on Medium or on Pinterest or on LinkedIn or wherever, all of those places, then people who use those platforms might see some of those pieces of content. There's more. It's like throwing out 100 different fishing lines at the same time, and maybe most of them are not going to get any bites. Maybe all of them get one bite a day, which is nothing, but altogether, if you do it a lot, you'll be building up some long-term sustained traffic to your book or your website. And again, all these free pieces of content on most other sites, maybe they interact with their content, but they can't actually do anything. They can't buy the book, they can't follow you. So the advantage is when you have your content on these other sites, you can try to drive them to your Amazon page to buy the book, or you can drive them to your website so they can sign up to your email list. So pairing all that free content with a valuable, relevant offer to get them deeper into your funnel so that you can build a longer relationship with them. So that when you do have a book launch, you have more opportunities to follow up with them and try to get them to buy the book. Hope that makes sense. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.